Now, in just a few hours, the Menendez brothers will get their first chance at freedom in 35 years. Erik's hearing is scheduled for today, followed by Lyle tomorrow. The two have been serving a life sentence for the 1989 murders of their parents. But after getting a new sentence, they're now eligible for parole. Their case took on new life after being featured in a Netflix docuseries, which highlighted the abuse Erik and Lyle suffered from their father in the years leading up to the murders. But even if they're granted parole, they won't be free just yet because Governor Gavin Newsom gets a final say on any parole decisions. He talked about this on his podcast with a Netflix director.
You get this, what, the 21st, 22nd?
Yeah.
Then you can watch the Menendez brothers over your Labor Day trip.
I'm going to see if I made the right decision.
Yeah, right?
Like, Jesus, I should have watched this before.
Joining me now to talk about all of this, Alyse Adamson, former federal prosecutor and host of the At Least You Heard It Here podcast. Alyse, welcome back.
Hey, Audie.
I went through this with the Serial podcast when all of a sudden that actually affected a real life, somebody who is in prison. Can you talk about the effect that these films and bringing this back to life had on this case?
Yeah, it had a huge effect because, recall, the brothers had two trials. First was a hung jury, then they were convicted of first-degree murder, and they were in jail for life without possibility of parole, meaning they were gone. And then all of a sudden there's this renewed interest with all of these documentaries, and it was one of the documentaries, I believe it was Menendez plus Menudo, where you had somebody that basically affirmed some of these abuse allegations that the brothers had made during their trials. And I think that really blew the lid off of everything. New evidence came forward and has led us where we are today, where the brothers have now been resentenced as in May and are now parole eligible. So an amazing turnaround from what seemed like a pretty open and shut case.
Parole eligible, and then how does the governor come into play?
Okay, so parole eligible means that they have a shot at freedom, but it is nowhere a guarantee. So first, Lyle and Erik, I think Erik goes first today, get to plead their case to the parole board. They have to prove to the board that they no longer pose a risk of danger to society. If the parole board agrees and decides to grant them parole, then a chief legal officer of parole has 120 days to affirm that decision. Then it goes to Governor Newsom.
So it's still got to work its way through the legal process.
It has to work its way through the legal process, so nobody is getting out today. But then Governor Newsom ultimately has the decision. He can either affirm the recommendation for parole or he can deny it, meaning he can review the case and say, you know what, I disagree with the parole board, and then they stay in prison.
I know this is like a murder within a family, but can family victims, can people speak out against this?
They can, although they're not, and I think that's very significant. The resentencing judge actually noted it was the family's letters that helped sway and change his, and help him make his decision to make them parole eligible. And from everything we've heard, Audie, it seems like the family is going to go and speak in favor of their release. And this family has been impacted because it was their family members who were murdered. So for them to be speaking on behalf of the brothers, I think is significant, and I think will play a pretty prominent role in the board's decision here.
At least this is a great update. I did not know all of this, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.